to the OhioRAAM Show.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. This is Jim Lawyer here at the OhioRAAM Show, number 344, a show about ultracycling and all things RAM.
And Lee Kreider here, and this show comes to you from the good people who operate the time stations here in Ohio during the race across America. Time stations 41 in Oxford, 42 in Blanchester, 43 in Chillicothe, where Jim holds out. Excuse me.
No problem. Understand.
Little throat tickle here. Hey,
Yep.
Little shout out to John McFadden.
Definitely.
At, Blanchester. He and Amy and Bob Griffith run that station. They almost do it by themselves with a little extra help.
Yep.
Do a great job. I have done it for a long time, and we really appreciate John and Amy and all those guys there in Blanchester. They're all great time stations, but today it's John McFadden's day. Hey, Happy New Year, Jim.
Oh, Happy New Year, Lee. I hope everything goes better this year for all of us.
Well, I think so. Well, let's hope so. Let's remind everybody, though, that this pandemic isn't over yet by any means, just because we went into a new year. Let's keep the faith, folks. Keep the masks on. Keep the social distancing. Be on the lookout for those vaccines when your turn comes around. What else can we say about that?
Nothing. I think it's a good thing that we're getting that, and if everybody pays attention, we'll get through this and be outside riding again.
We want to be out there with the races on and all that good stuff, and
definitely,
and just seeing people and being able to give people a hug or something like that. Hey, Jim, definitely. I was going to give you the week off next weekend because we got a big weekend coming up after that, but I've slipped a new show in on you.
Awesome.
Next Saturday, we're going to have Srini Gokulnath, who is a doctor in the Indian Army. And many people know Srini. He was the first Indian to complete the race across America by the skin of his chinny chin chin. And he just got back from South Sudan, where he was on deployment as a part of the UN peacekeeping force. He's a doctor in the Indian Army, and he has a book out, and we want to talk about his work with young girls, introducing them to cycling there in South Sudan.
That'll be an awesome show.
Yeah, and I'd like everybody to read the book before then. I haven't read it yet, but on the, let me get that up here, on the show website, OhioRAAMShow.com, underneath today's show, you'll see a link to Srini's book. I just got it on my Kindle today. I haven't read it yet, but I'll try to get it read before next week. Definitely. Before next Saturday. And I paid all of $2.60 for it. I'm sure that Srini's going to get wealthy at those rates. But definitely, just to let you know, there is a small fee if you want it on Kindle, and I'm sure that Srini will be glad to see my little portion in his check when it comes.
There you go, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Now listen. Say a little bit about the weekend after, and you're going to be in the virtual world time trials, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're going to give the shot on the 24th. April and I, along with some other very, very good riders, some RAM riders will be with us. And we're going to do a couple of live shows, one at the beginning and then definitely one at the end, as well as maybe a few pop-ups in the middle.
A few pop-ups in the yeah, we'll do some pop-ups. And so kind of be in tune. That's the weekend after next, starting January 16th through 17th here in the United States. Our Australia and New Zealand friends, they'll already be in Sunday when that starts. But definitely, we're going to have some of them on the show. But also in the middle of that, we already had this scheduled when they changed the date of the World Time Trials. So we decided to go ahead with it, and maybe that's a good thing. We're going to have that Saturday, the Team for Cyclists at 9 p.m. Eastern. Always, when you see these notices, just go to the notice, link on it, and it'll tell you the date and time in your area. Definitely. Facebook and YouTube handle that very well. And so let's get on with that. Now, we want to hear from you out there. So we'd like to hear your comments, your questions, or just pop in and say hello to these people. Definitely. And first of all, I want to bring in a person who's been on the show before, and one of our good friends, Tracy May in Switzerland. Hi, Tracy. How are you?
Hi, Tracy.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Very good.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And we're sorry to say that Philippe is not with Tracy because he had a meeting on, what was it, about the COVID changes?
Yes, about the COVID changes in Switzerland. There were some announcements that were made today by the government. So he's got some meetings at work that he has to deal with for the coming weeks. So sorry that he can't make it. He sends his love, and I'll be speaking on his behalf tonight.
Excellent.
Well, we're glad you could be here, Tracy.
Thanks.
We're always happy. You know, I can't pass this opportunity up without pointing out that Tracy and Philippe both are speed skiers. And if you don't know what that is, this is how they dress. It's nothing like you see in the Olympics. It's just going downhill as fast as you can. Isn't that the idea, Tracy?
Yes, exactly. You go straight downhill, and they clock you for how many miles an hour or kilometers an hour you can ski. And the fastest person at the end of the day in the women's and men's category wins.
And what's your record, Tracy?
My personal speed record is 238.57 kilometers an hour, or
wow.
In miles an hour, it's 148 miles an hour. So
that's amazing.
Thanks.
I think about my skiing, Tracy, and I always tell people I'm a turquoise skier. Sort of between blue and green.
Yeah.
I was never very good at it, but boy, did I love it.
Turquoise is a nice color, and everybody loves to ski, so it doesn't matter how fast you're going. As long as
I loved it, and I grieve that I can't do it any longer, but I did it when I could, and that's the important thing for all of us, don't you think? Tracy, introduce your husband's teammate here to us.
So my husband's teammate is a guy named Mike Garcia, who's actually also from the New York, New Jersey area. He is a childhood friend of mine that I grew up skiing with on the Hunter Mountain ski team. And last year, he was in the Verbier area, and I hooked him up with my husband, Philippe, and I knew how much Mike loves riding, and I thought they would get along. And they had a couple of rides together while Mike was here in Verbier, and they got along great. And Philippe asked him if he'd be interested in partnering for Race Across America. And that's where the story begins. So.
Okay, great. Glad to
Welcome,
see you,
Mike. Yeah.
Thank you. Happy New Year, guys. Nice to meet you.
Happy New Year to you. Yes.
Find out about Mike, Jim.
Yeah, Mike, I know the big plans for 2021 is RAAM. What kind of interesting things can you tell us about your training and all that getting ready for RAAM 2021?
Well, it started, as Tracy said, last year. So we've been training for well over a year now with Marco. I'm sure you know him. He's our coach.
Yes, definitely. Yep.
And he provides the spreadsheet, and that's what I follow.
Outstanding.
So,
been getting a lot of outside rides in during this?
About last year I did 17,000 miles, and I believe it was about 6,000 on Zwift and 10,000 outside.
Wow.
So that's
outstanding.
Marco said to me, "Have you been doing all the training?" I said, "Yes." And 17,093 miles is exactly what your spreadsheet called for.
That's amazing. That's great. And you're doing a 2-man team this year?
We are working on doing a 2-man team, hopefully, yes.
Okay. Outstanding. Go ahead.
We was fortunate enough to be able to do the Sebring race in February before it all closed down. And then there was an inaugural race on the Notches Trace, different than the 24-hour race down there. This was a 4-day stage race that they had just before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So that worked out really well.
Outstanding.
But that was it for racing.
Okay. Do you have any other big plans coming up in the near future before RAAM?
No, I wanted to do Sebring again, and I was looking at Texas, and those both got canceled so far.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, so I really don't have. We just have to see what pans out.
Gotcha. Any virtual races coming up for you?
I may email and try to get into the 12-hour in 2 weeks.
Gotcha. Well, we hope we see you there. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
Lee, do you have any questions for Tracy or Mike? Maybe Lee's on mute.
Oh, I got my cough switch on.
There you go.
The mic I had before was a push and release, and now I got to push it twice.
Yeah.
I can't pass this up with recognizing the fact. What year was it that Philippe was coming to the United States and he wound up in the hospital?
In 2014, he was set to do Race Across America as a 4-man team with 2 other guys from Switzerland and another guy from Australia, Stephen Bervling. He was the 4th. And unfortunately, he was not feeling well on the flight on the way to the United States. So when he arrived in San Diego, I flew out early to organize everything, get all the gear and the crew and everybody ready. And when I picked him up from the airport, I took him straight to urgent care in La Jolla. And we were very lucky that they were extremely attentive to him and ruled out. I actually was worried that he had maybe a blood clot from the flight. It was a 24-hour flight, and it was a rough time getting to San Diego. And they ruled out blood clot right away. They ruled out a bunch of other things, and it turned out after actually keeping him in the hospital with a week long of testing that he had a heart defect that had gone unnoticed for years, actually. And the life expectancy of that type of heart defect was actually really undetected about 35 years old or so. And he was 43 at the time. And the heart defect is called arrhythmogenic right ventricular dysplasia. And in that type of heart defect, the right ventricle of the heart enlarges and it gets bigger and bigger and causes scar tissue to form in the right ventricle. And it can cause sudden cardiac death in young athletes. And Philippe was very lucky that they had found it. And it was a tough diagnosis. It took a lot of specialists to come up with the diagnosis. It takes time to come up with a diagnosis like that. It's a very rare heart defect. And it was very difficult and very sad for him. But in retrospect, it was great that we were able to get that diagnosis in the United States and get the care that he needed from Scripps Hospital there. So he wasn't able to race in 2014. And one of the crew members stepped up that had raced before and in previous years. And he hadn't arrived yet, so he was able to get his bicycle, get on the team and help out, and that 4-person team did finish with the successful Race Across America finish that year. And then Philippe came back in 2015, newly set up with a ICD, and he was able to race, and they finished a different group of people, four-person team. They were on a mixed group with Graham Friend and Lizzie and Ismail Dven, and it was a successful event, and Philippe was really psyched to be able to finish what he started the year before.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this disease to my doctor, my cardiologist, and he tells me, I think what you already know, that this is most often diagnosed post-mortem.
Yes.
In other words, it doesn't show up until after the patient has died of it. And so you were very, very fortunate to catch it just at that moment.
Yes. Yes.
When something could be done. And I was going to commiserate with Philippe because as of actually 1 year ago today, I had this thing put in my chest, taken away, and keeping me going. It was quite a blow to my psyche that I had heart trouble, being as physically active as I've been. But my cardiologist says that at my age, I'm entitled to that.
Yeah. Well, so you can commiserate because, as you know, Philippe went to the United States to compete in the longest race in the world, and he was in top physical condition, and then being told that there was something wrong with his heart and that he shouldn't do it. It was very dangerous. That was a shock.
It doesn't come right. But I believe, am I not correct, Mercy, that since that time he was able to either get the world championship speed racing in his age group? Do I have that accurate?
So speed skiing is not done by age group. World Cup speed skiing. He did, however, since then. It was 2 years after his ICD was implanted. He won 2 World Cup races. Both happened to be in Andorra, and the research that was done by the journalists that were covering that event, he was told that he was the oldest skier to ever win a World Cup at the age of 48.
Okay.
So, and they won the following year.
I had it almost right. But...
So he beat his own record 2 years in a row by winning that race 2 years in a row. So, yeah, it was exciting. So he's back to full on physical condition.
Give Philippe our best. We're sorry he's not
Definitely.
Because he's a person who certainly fulfills the Race Across America mantra of adapting, innovating, and overcoming, doesn't he?
Yes,
definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I have a question about crew for your team. Do you have a crew set up? Are you still looking, or etc.?
Mike?
That would be a Tracy question, but
sorry, Mike.
As far as I know, the majority of the crew from last year is coming.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we had the crew set up for last year, and when the race got canceled for 2020, I immediately sent out an email asking the crew if they would be on for 2021. Everybody said yes, and hopefully their schedules, as we get closer, we can get confirmations. And I haven't booked flights yet. I usually do that in February or March. And with the COVID situation, I'll probably wait a little bit longer just to make sure we know what's going on with everything.
Gotcha. So are you like the crew chief, or?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Excellent.
I'm the crew chief, and I organize. I get all the crew together. Most of our crew is from the United States. A lot of them are from Virginia. We've got one from Maryland and one from North Carolina. So, and we've got 3 emergency medical technicians / fire crew, and a couple of search and rescue people. So we've got people that really know what they're doing on the road and can handle emergency situations. And we've got a really good, solid crew set up. So
that's great. Now, are your 2 riders going to go about even distances before swapping, or is there a plan yet in place like that?
Mike can answer that.
We were planning on doing even distances. Preliminarily, we were discussing going time station to time station. and then the longer time stations, or depending on the elevations, splitting those segments.
Gotcha. Excellent. What's your ultra cycling background, just out of curiosity?
None. Let me sum that up for you.
Okay, there you go. Exactly.
I've always been an avid cyclist. I used to cycle back in high school to keep in shape for skiing. And then after, has always been recreational while logging up many miles. I've done some crit racing, some Grand Fondos, all just for fun. And then meeting up with Philippe and Tracy, that's when the ultra started.
Outstanding.
They got me into this crazy sport. And then Sebring was actually the first 12-hour race that I competed in.
How did you do there?
I got third in my age group.
Outstanding.
Would have gotten second, but Marco decided to go from the 24-hour down to the 12-hour.
Well, there you go. See how those coaches are.
That Marco ruined a lot of teams last year.
So he bumped me down a spot, but I was very happy with it. I really, it was way more than I expected. I went in thinking I was going to do about 180, 190 miles, and I got 218.
That's outstanding.
So I was one bathroom break away from 220, 221. I crossed the line at 12:02.
Oh,
So my last lap didn't count.
right.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, let's get Tracy back in here. We got to talk about this dog. And Bob Tipton, be great to see. Twinkie, you take Twinkie skiing, don't you?
I do. Yeah. Well, I take her skinning. So I take her up, and she walks with her little paws up. And then on the way down, I put her in a little baby carrier.
Well, she's a cute little animal.
Yeah.
And we all love that dog. Is she
Right
around
here.
there?
You want to see her?
Yeah.
I'll grab her.
We love dogs. Riley, where you at? You want to see a dog? Right, my dog watches
Oh,
television.
beautiful.
Yeah. We'll say hello.
Those beautiful blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Say
wow!
hello, everybody.
There we go.
That's great.
Oh, and sometimes Philippe, at the end of his ride, like when he's doing a little cool down, I'll hand her to him, and he rides around with her, and it's the cutest thing because she moves her front paws like she's running in the air.
Okay,
That's
very
great.
good. Jim, you got anything else?
Not really. I think we covered most everything that I had questions on. And we can't wait to see you guys through our Ohio time stations.
Yeah, we can't
Thank
wait
you.
to come through.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we missed you the last time because you were in the hospital, or you were attending your husband in the hospital last time you came this way. You've done Raw several times, haven't you, Tracy? But this is the first time you've done RAM. Is that right? Or you done?
No. Philippe did the RAAM 2015.
2015 on a four-man team. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should have done my research better, Jim.
That's okay.
No, you're good.
I just generally I like to go and try to look these things up, but we didn't get to them. Hey, Tracy, thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Jim.
Listen,
Thank you
don't
both.
go away. We'll chat a little bit once we get off the air here, Jim. We'll see you next Saturday here when we got Strini. I'm going to figure out what that 558 is. He calls himself now.
There you go. Definitely.
And I'm going to try to see. It'll be awfully early if I can't get my son to pop in here and say hello as
Gotcha.
well.
Yeah.
Do they have to stop? Gregory's kind of new to it. No, Gregory, you do not have to stop. The team has to check in and call their time in. The time stations are there for several reasons. They can stop and often do. The crews often stop, officials, the media people. So there's always something going on around these time stations, isn't there, Jim?
Definitely. 24 hours a day through the whole thing.
You get to meet the stars of this sport, and you don't have to pay a dime for a ticket, do you?
Nope, and you get good free food too.
Yeah,
from our time stations.
Up front seats. So
there you go. Definitely.
Come out to one of our time stations next June and see what this is all about. We'll tell you more about when and where at a later date. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye, Jim. Goodbye,
everybody. Thank you very much.
Bye, Jim. Bye, Mike.
Good luck.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
This is Gregory Zuber, thanking you for watching and sharing.
Music by Kevin MacLeod.